Oh, hey man, what's up? What's going on? I'm not doing this bit, bro. You're not Helen Keller. Just talk to me. Bro, I'm not gonna answer you unless you actually just ask me. What the fuck? Hey, hi, Wolfie here. After my last video on solo leveling, most of you requested that I do One Piece next, to which I say, Kusoku te shine Minecraft de. Today, I'll be talking about Tsukimichi Moonlit Fantasy. However, I will be referring to it as just Tsukimichi because I'm lazy and a bad person. If you enjoyed the video, please drop a like and a sub for your boy. It helps more than you know. Let's begin with a brief history. Like most anime, Tsukimichi started as a web novel in 2012 by Koizumi and is still ongoing. It was adapted into a manga by 2015 by Alpha Polis and is also still ongoing. The anime adaptation started in 2021 and is also still ongoing, with Season 1 being from Studio C2C and Season 2 being from Studio JC staff. You heard all that right. This IP has been around long enough to crank 90s in Fortnite. This IP was around when Kill la Kill was still being simulcast. I personally discovered the manga back in early 2017 and I've been reading it somewhat regularly since then, which makes this quite interesting because unlike solo leveling, the anime is actually drastically different than the manga. Truthfully, I was a little overwhelmed by the amount of differences and how I was going to even make this video. To kind of give you all an idea here, the anime has 37 episodes total, while there's like 100 plus chapters of the manga. Episode 11 of Season 2 contains the last events I remember in the manga from chapter 100. Just think about it. They covered all 100 chapters of material in 23 episodes, but there's an additional 14 episodes after that. I know we aren't the brightest bunch of Crayola consumers here, but that math can be done on one hand. That shit don't add up. Wait, so if I were to try to give a breakdown on every episode and the differences from their manga counterparts in this one video, we'd be here till Season 3 drops. So I'm going to cover Season 1 first in this video and Season 2 in the next video. So get settled in, grab a snack, and get your hands out of your pants, you gooner. We start off with a cute introduction from our main character Misumi Makoto. You'll have to forgive me if I mispronounce these, I'm as white as Wonder Bread. Setting up the vibe of the show pretty quickly. It's one of those self-aware isekai stories that uses comedy fairly often and is quite lighthearted. So Makoto gets isekai'd due to some arrangement between the goddess and his parents and learns about it from Tsukuyomi, who also lets him know he'll delete his web history and destroy his magazines. What a G. So Makoto meets the goddess who, much like a typical Tinder user, deems him worthless due to his looks alone. She then tells him to kick rocks and stay away from her humans. Before ejecting him from the battle bus, she gives him the ability to talk to anything other than the humans. Kinda like a wasteland Dr. Dolittle if he couldn't talk to people. Tsukuyomi then ganks him, sorry, trauma. I mean, talks with him one more time and lets him know he's quite strong in this world because, I don't know, the air is a little less polluted than where he's from. So Makoto roleplays as an Israelite for a while before meeting his first ally, Emma. He then saves her like a Michael Vick in shining armor. She brings him to her cop pig village and teaches him a little bit about magic and the world and stuff. It's there he learns that she was supposed to be a sacrifice for the dragon deity Shin, so he decides to have a word with them, much like the Cerberus from before. He meets Shin and they fight. Shin looks through Makoto's memories during the fight while he's in her illusion and becomes interested in him because he's from another world. So she offers to form a partnership contract with him. However, Makoto is such a Giga Chad that only a slave contract is possible due to the difference in their power levels. And anyhow, the dragon gets tits. So Makoto and Shin, now with tits, return to the Orc village, update them on what happened, and offer to let them move into an alternate dimension that formed from Makoto and Shin's contract. Oh yeah, dragons have like a private dimension they can use. Usually they're kind of small, but after forming a contract with Makoto, Shin's turned into a massive Japanese forest. Anyhow, it's honestly nothing short of indentured servitude for the orcs, but hey, now you can farm good, I guess. So, I mean, look at what they had before. Woo! It's gonna be a nice, bountiful season this year, yes sir. Hey man, hey, what are we growing here? What do you got there? It's dirt. Dirt and rocks. You can't be serious. what are we gonna do with just, yo man, hey farmer, yo, what's good? Yeah, can I just get a rock with a side of dirt the Aki way? Maybe also a little bit of poop. No. Not long after these events, Shin brings in an injured dwarf that was attacked by a large, scary spider. He obliterates the very hungry spider, and like a housewife from the 50s, it falls in love with him and is left hooked. What the fuck? Then the spider grows tits. I'm noticing a pattern here. Also wood. So, the dwarf they saved is an elder dwarf, which means he's... any guesses? That's right, he's old. So, much like the boomer he is, he decides what's best for his entire race and moves them all into Shin's dimension. Speaking of the alternate dimension, it's populated by all kinds of races now. Looks like Makoto's gonna have to learn about a little thing called ice. Yes, that's right. You heard it here with my big hands. The Aoki will be moved to the mountains to make room for jobs for the dwarves, and the orcs will build the wall, and they will also pay for it. Yes, thank you, I know. This is so fucking stupid. He also renames Shin to Tomoe and the spider to electrolyte water additive Mio. Makoto then goes to try and socialize with the humans. However, they chase him away because he was swinging way too much meat. As in, like, he is the entirety of the back of that couch. So, he spends a little time to learn about their language and has the boomers create gear for him that can suppress his Sigma aura. That's actually not a joke, that's literally what happens. Once he's dripped out with enough accessories to make Johnny Depp jealous, Makoto finally enters the human settlement with his servants Tomoe and Gatorade. They register at the Adventurers Guild, do a little shopping, and run into a young girl named Rinon. Rinon immediately tells them about her missing sister Toa, who happens to look like somebody Makoto was very close with in his original world. Shaboing-a-boing. So, he tasks his servants with finding her. Rinon is also being threatened by thieves to steal from Makoto, but she's too nice and doesn't. Makoto's servants find Toa and uncover a controversy going on in the town, and promptly deal with the controversy by destroying the entire town itself. God bless America. Rinon is reunited with Toa, and Makoto praises his servants' success and rewards them with a one-way ticket to Bufu, Egypt. Yes, I wanted to make a joke about where he shot them, but I also didn't want this video to get crucified by the algorithm. So use your imagination or something, and never forget. After MK Ultraing everybody into thinking the town was destroyed by monsters, nothing happened on June 4th, 1989 in Zetsuya Square, Tomoe goes off to get stronger, and Makoto travels with Powerade and his new adventurer friends to Siege. They kill some monsters, collect materials, Makoto gets traumatized, and they arrive at Siege. Now, here's one of the big differences from the manga. They've changed a few things already, but at this point in the manga, we're introduced to the other two people that got summoned to this world. However, the anime breezes right past it. They do eventually cover it briefly, but they do so in season 2, which again came out 3 years later. There are quite a few chapters that essentially end up retconned, which ends up in us losing quite a few characters, storylines, explanations, etc. In the anime, they really just try to focus on Makoto's point of view, and they cut anything they deem as unnecessary or unbeneficial to the plot. I'm just glad they didn't cut those sweet, sweet melons. So, Makoto reapplies at the Adventurers Guild, after the last town's was literally psyoped, and attempts to fulfill a request from the Rembrandt Company using the materials they gathered with his adventurer friends on their journey to Siege. Rembrandt reveals that the materials are for his wife and daughters who were cursed to be Reddit users. Makoto offers to help them touch grass and moves on to get registered with the Merchants Guild after doing so. From there, he decides to make a portion of the now named demi-plane accessible to the humans as to slowly traffic product into their neighborhoods and homes. Are we sure this guy isn't the US government? Lastly, he helps his alchemist friend make the antidotes they promised for Rembrandt's family, and he takes a note from Chris Brown's book on how to administer the said antidotes. After showing Rembrandt he believes in equal rights and equal lefts, his family is then healed. Makoto then returns to the demi-plane, where he learns they're still using separated water fountains. What the fuck? Makoto realizes that this separation has caused them to limit their growth, so he orders the species to all train together and have a fighting tournament weekly so they can learn from each other and determine who is the master race. After settling a few things in the demi-plane, Makoto returns to Siege to rent shop space from Rembrandt in a neutral city, as to avoid having to participate in espionage. any more than he already is. To celebrate the establishment of his trading company, the demi-plane throws a party for Makoto. He gets a little overwhelmed though and goes into the woods to jelk for a bit. However, it turns out that edging that hardcore and essentially dying over and over makes your mana pool bigger, and now his almost rivals the goddesses.
Whew, okay, I'm about to get so much stronger. Alright, let's do this.
After the party, Makoto returns to Siege and is actually hit on in the red light district, which prompts his servants to then take him back home for a little struggle snuggle. However, Makoto manages to preserve his purity. It should have been me! Anyhow, Prime apologizes for trying to forcefully make thicken the warm, so Makoto invites her to help him with his quest to find ambrosia flowers in the forest. On that journey, they actually run into some adventurers who are trying to get some of the chronic for themselves. After the humans attempt a little manifest destinying, Makoto sends them to the demi-plane and makes peace with the elves/ogres they encountered in the forest. He then actually uncovers some controversies in the elven village and ends up recruiting a lich servant that was hiding there. Again, here's where things go in a very different direction than the manga. They entirely left out why Makoto was hesitant to work with the forest elves and why he only recruited 3 of them. In the manga, they had a terrifying spell that could turn people into trees. Not like Groot, but a literal tree that is conscious and in constant agony that can't die, and it can't be reversed even by Makoto. Also, side note, I feel like they make the female adventurer that they encounter in the red light district and in the forest not long after slightly less evil or annoying. I don't know, I remember her being worse in the manga. Speaking of that party, they tried to steal a bunch of weapons and things while they were in the demi-plane, and they caused an explosion which actually killed a few very important people. So Makoto rushes to the demi-plane and he's able to see what happened using Tomoe's ability to watch memories. After watching the memories, he immediately puts the lead female adventurer into the forever box before she can get away. The scene and build-up in the anime don't really hit as hard as they did in the manga in my opinion, but they still feel really good. After having a funeral pyre for the lost lives in the demi-plane, Makoto returns to Siege to talk business with Rembrandt and ask about schooling for magic. Rembrandt tells him about the Magic Academy and gives him a recommendation letter. So Makoto tells Tomoe and Sobe to hold things down while he takes Shiki, the lich from earlier, with him to the academy to learn magic. During their teleportation to the Magic Academy, the goddess actually interferes and pisses Makoto to a distant battlefield instead, where the humans are gearing up to fight the demons. Makoto is immediately attacked by the strongest adventurer in the world and a superior dragon, due to them thinking he's associated with the goddess after seeing him come down from her golden piss ray. They fight for a little and then they try to drop Makoto from really high up. However, for him, that's like trying to drown a fish. On the way down, Makoto concocts and shoots an arrow to annoy them with. The impact of said annoyance arrow creates a massive lake. This man literally terraformed the environment around him just to grief 2 people. Anyways, Makoto teleports away and meets back up with Tomoe and Vitamin Water in the demi-plane with minor injuries. After healing Makoto, they have a feast to celebrate the opening of his shop, and he learns about the 2 other people that were summoned from his homeworld that were in the battle he was actually pissed to. He expresses that he's hopeful about the future, but after a little bit of arguing between Mio and Tomoe, he knows it's going to be anything but simple. And that's all. See ya. Yeah, that's it for season 1. So, Tsukimichi Moonlit Fantasy was an enjoyable ride. My initial thoughts are actually quite positive. Sure, they did cut a lot of content from the manga, but I understand why. There are quite a few chapters of the manga where you don't even see or hear from any of the main characters. I believe readers are usually more willing to get fully immersed, thus they don't mind these moments of like world building and side stories. Sure, these things have been animated before, like in Overlord, but we're currently in times where many people's screens may look something like this.
I was casually dating this guy.
So I can't say I don't get it. But I do think some of the manga fans may actually be a little disappointed at the sheer volume of cut material. Quite frankly, they actually end up with quite a few situations where the story has to change entirely or just leave certain things unaddressed completely because of this. However, that doesn't necessarily detract from the show on its own as its own standalone entity. If I didn't have the pre-existing knowledge from the manga, I wouldn't have really been missing out on much. Like, okay, If you were to get a Wagyu burger from Shake Shack, there might be some technicalities and asterisks regarding the pedigree of that Wagyu, but that won't make it any less tasty when you're sitting there grubbing on it. I mean, the show is sitting at a 4.8 star rating out of almost 140,000 reviews on Crunchyroll, so clearly it's done something quite right, regardless of the retconning and the changes. The animation was pleasant on the eyes, I feel like the characters were interpreted well, the comedy was done very well, I laughed quite often, and the rare tense moments were really good too. The soundtrack was solid, the opening was fitting and fun, the closing was actually pretty nice on my ear holes, a nice way to kind of chill and vibe after. All around, I'd recommend the show for casual manga fans and anime fans. The hardcore purists might not be as into it, but can't win them all, right? I laughed, I cried, I cummed. 4.5 out of 5 stars. If you made it this far in the video, thank you so much for watching. If you'd like to stay in the loop on what I'm up to, check out my socials and my Discord. I also stream on Twitch, I'm currently playing Marvel Rivals and doing React streams. Links will all be in the description. Please tell me in the comments below which character you think is the hottest so I can tell you why you're wrong. And don't forget to subscribe and leave a like on the video, it helps me so much. If we get 10,000 likes on this video, I'll cover High School DxD next. Please don't actually. Lastly, a big shout out to the Red Rocket Gang for enabling me to do what I do and supporting me constantly. I'll see you all in about a month for season 2. Bye for now.